Hello, everyone. Welcome to Barca News. It is July 4th, 2024, and today I'm going to expand a little bit on how Barcelona can achieve the 1-1 rule. Also, the club have reached an agreement to renew one of their academy jewels. And finally, Alex Valle will be a first team player next season. We have a lot to discuss, so let's begin. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the channel. My name is Mo, and I'm bringing you this short live stream to keep you up to date on all the Barcelona news. I'm still out of town. I'm not home, so I cannot edit and upload videos. This is why I'm coming to you live. This is not a podcast, so I won't be addressing the chat section, and it also won't be long. It would be short. I did do a podcast yesterday. If you haven't seen it, make sure you check it out. And then tomorrow, of course, your regularly scheduled podcast at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Having said all that, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment. Before I forget, happy 4th of July to all my fellow Americans. For those of you who don't know, today is the Independence Day here in the USA. I'm out from work, which is nice, but it is 110 degrees outside, which is, I think it's 45 Celsius. Pretty hot day, but happy 4th of July to all of you watching here in the US. Now, let's begin with the news, or let's begin actually not with news, but more of an explanation, because I've been getting a lot of questions lately on how can Barcelona reach the 1-1 rule. Well, the reason why Barcelona are not under the 1-1 rule is because they are currently over their wage limit. Based on how much money a club makes versus how much they spend, La Liga issues them a wage limit, means that their wage bill cannot be higher than a certain amount. Let's say 400 million. If you add up all the salaries of everyone who works in the club and it's more than 400 million, then you cease to be under the 1-1 rule. What's the 1-1 rule? It means for every euro that you make, you can spend that on signing a player. When you're not under the 1-1 rule, for example, Barcelona was under the 1-4 rule, that meant that for every euro they made, they could only spend 25 cents out of that euro to sign a player. So if they sold Frankie de Jong for 100 million, they would only be able to use 25 to sign a new player. These rules are in place in order to protect clubs so they don't go spending all their money and then they go bankrupt. This is why these rules exist. And for the longest time, Barcelona have been over their wage limit, and therefore they were not under the 1-1 rule. So how can Barcelona reach the 1-1 rule? Well, there's two ways. The number one way is reduce the wage bill. Barcelona are currently over their wage bill, so they can reach the 1-1 by reducing it. How can they reduce it? They can sell players, so they remove their wages off their bill. They can reduce the salaries of their current players by negotiating with them a salary reduction, or they can renew players with a lower salary. So that's one way to reduce the wage bill. If you reduce the wage bill to below the wage limit, you reach the 1-1 rule. Another way that you can reach the 1-1 rule is by increasing the club's profits. The more money you make, the higher your wage limit is. And if you're over your wage limit, this is your wage bill, this is your wage limit. You make more money, your wage limit is going to be higher. All of a sudden, you're not under your wage limit. So that's another way. Or you can do both, a combination of both, which is what Barcelona has been doing. They've been getting rid of players whose contracts were too high. They've been trying to negotiate salary reductions, while at the same time increasing the profits of the club through new sponsorship deals, through the Nike deal, and through the Barca Vision deal. So that's how can Barcelona reach the 1-1 rule. They are on their way to reach the 1-1 rule, especially once they close the Nike and the Barca Vision deals. And all this has been confirmed by Javier Tebas, as I reported in my earlier live stream, which just ended a few minutes ago. Anyways, I wanted to start the video with this short explanation because I've been getting a lot of questions in the comment section. So I just wanted to make sure clarify to everyone how can this be done. Now, let's begin with actual news and not an explanation. But let's talk about how Barcelona have reached an agreement to extend the contract of one of their academy's most promising players, who is no other than Toni Fernandez. Now, I talked about Toni Fernandez in a previous video. I'm not sure if you remember, but he's a 15-year-old center forward. He currently plays in Juvenil B, or the under-18 team. Even though he is 15, he should be playing in Cadete. That's how good he is. He's playing with kids that are much older than him. He's described as a forward that's very versatile, They're very technically able and with a good eye for goal. And as I explained before, he's actually the cousin of Gil Fernandez. Gil Fernandez is another incredibly promising player in the academy. He just renewed recently, as I reported, I think it was 2 days ago. Gil Fernandez renewed recently. The cool story about the two, by the way, they're cousins because their parents are siblings. So their two dads are brothers, and the two moms are sisters, and they all married each other. And Gil and Tony Fernandez were born, and they both have been in the academy for a very long time. So pretty cool story. Both of them are showing a lot of promise. Gil Fernandez just renewed a few days ago, and now it's reported that Barcelona have reached an agreement with Tony Fernandez to also extend his contract until 2027, and he will be signing his first professional contract with the club. Now, as you know, under FIFA rules, you cannot sign a professional contract until you're 16. Of course, Tony Fernandez is 15, but he will turn 16 in July this month. I think it's July 16th, if I'm not incorrect. So on the day of his birthday, as soon as he turns 16, Tony Fernandez will sign his first professional contract with Barcelona until 2027. This is great news because, again, he's one of the most promising players in the academy alongside his cousin Gil Fernandez. This is all part of Barcelona's effort to tie down their youngsters, players like Cuarcy, Hector Fort, all these players that Barcelona count on for the future. They've been working slowly on each one to extend their contracts, and the most recent one is Tony Fernandez. Now, speaking of academy players, let's talk about Alex Valle, because it's reported that he will become a first-team player next season. Now, Alex Valle spent last season on loan in second division with Levante. He started out pretty strong. Towards the end, he wasn't getting as much playing time, but despite that, Barcelona have very good reports about him. Bojan has created a lot of positive reports about Alex Valle. As you might remember, one of Bojan's job is to keep track of players who are on loan. He was keeping track of Alex Valle. He brought back a lot of positive reports. Both Deco and Bojan are very happy with the development and the growth that Alex Valle had while he was on loan with Levante. And as such, the club have decided that Alex Valle will become a first-team player next season. So he will definitely participate in the preseason with Hansi Flick and the rest of the players. And Barcelona are counting on him to compete with Alejandro Balde in the left-back position, or to be his sub, to compete, whichever one, whatever he's capable of. But that's good news, because if I rather that Barcelona count on our academy players rather than go spending money on bringing someone else, especially if he's going to be a sub. I'd rather have a sub from the academy. And it's also good news because this is only going to put pressure on Alejandro Balde to improve his game. So this, competition is always good for the team. So I'm really glad to hear that Alex Valle will be a first-team player next season. Now, his contract does expire in 2025. There's an option to extend it by one more year that Barcelona can automatically trigger unilaterally. Seems that Barcelona are hoping to do that. If that option is triggered, Alex Valle's salary would also increase, and his release clause is set to drop down to $3 million next month. But if this option is triggered, that goes away, and his release clause does not go down. So really good news on that front. By the way, I forgot to mention, when it comes to Tony Fernandez, there was interest from Bayer Leverkusen, Juventus, and Manchester City. In fact, both Manchester City and Juventus made offers much higher than Barcelona's offers to Tony Fernandez. But thanks to Deco and thanks to Tony Hernandez, who's the director of the youth football, they were both able to convince Tony Fernandez to stay in the club. So really, really good news on all fronts. Let me know what you guys' thoughts and opinions are down below in the comment section. That is all the news for today. I did a live stream earlier today. Make sure you check it out. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, drop a comment. And as always, Visca Barça.